Hey, real estate rock stars. This is Aaron Amuchastegui. You are going to love this next interview. I just interviewed Kina Santis. She had started her business just 4 years ago. And by starting on, which she didn't have a business basis, she did not want to reach out to her sphere of influence. And so if you're somebody that you became a new agent, you're trying to figure out how to get leads and you're unsure about how to do it, and you don't want to reach out all to your friends and tell them you're an agent, this is the one for you. She started by posting TikToks. And she talks about her easy to follow recipe that everybody can do. And within just a few months, she started getting tons and tons of volume from it. And now this year, she's going to do 80 million in sales, with that being her prime marketing lead. We talk about a whole bunch of other stuff too, about her abundance mindset, about which CRM she used, how she closes those deals. So without further ado, here it is, my interview with Kina Santis. Well, Kina, thanks for joining us today. Kina Santis. Where do you live?
I'm in Orange County. My team's all over, but I'm physically here in Orange County.
You're physically in Orange County. Well, if there was a place that you were going to live for the weather and the fun and have your team live somewhere else, you chose the right spot.
Most of my team is here too, but yeah, definitely. I'm not leaving anytime soon. That's for sure.
Yeah. I went to school down at Cal Poly near Santa Barbara. So I spent a lot of time. I live in Austin, Texas now, but I spent a lot of time on the Central Coast and Orange County and all over the place for a while. How long have you been in real estate?
4 years and like 4 or 5 months.
Okay. What made you get into real estate?
I was working 2 jobs, and I got my real estate license. So I had my W-2. I was tutoring this kid 5 days a week.
Wow.
And I was like, well, if my other thing can't be like another W-2, it has to be some kind of business. And I got my real estate license because at the time I was like, I just want to buy a house. I was a bigger pockets person, listening to the Bigger Pockets podcast, like at my job. And I'm like, I'll just buy a house every few years. I'll start real estate investing, and like, that will be my path. And when the pandemic hit, I sold my first house, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it. And then we just kind of took off.
Then off to the races. Bigger Pockets is a really fun podcast. Inspired a lot of people on there. I was on there a few times. They published my my foreclosure book, so I'm really good friends with all those guys, and it's been so cool to see essentially their reach as well, of the lives they've changed and inspired people. And so the getting your license right as like COVID was hitting, what was your first like 6 months like in the business?
So I got my license. I still had my job. I was just doing open houses, and then COVID hit, and I sold my first house, and then I started posting on TikTok. I got furloughed from my job, and then I started posting on TikTok, and I was posting like 1 video a day, every single day of a house tour. What X gets you in this city? And I was like, maybe this will go viral, because when I jumped on TikTok, I got a video that was local, and I'm like, oh, I can like hit a local audience this way. And my husband's like, you have to post, you have to post. So I started posting, and then all of a sudden it just like ramped up. And I came from a tech and a startup background. So we built the funnel. So my first year, I sold my first house in May. And then I started meeting people in June because I was posting on socials. I think I closed 2 homes in August. That year I did, I think, 14 properties, 11 million in sales, just from May to the end of the year. And those were my first deals.
So average price, like $700,000 or $800,000?
No, my probably closer to like average in the 500s, which is hard to hit in Orange County.
Yeah.
Like, you're really, really focused on the least expensive homes. So we were doing a lot of like first-time home buyers, pretty much mostly first-time home buyers, a couple investors here and there, but that was really like who I focused on. I hired pretty quickly because I knew that there was some really good opportunity. So I had my cousin, who was 17 at the time, helping me edit videos. And there was another agent who reached out because she just wanted to learn. So she started helping me like just with some basic admin stuff. That first 6 months, super busy. And then the next year, 2021, I think I did like 50 properties, and we did 36 million in sales.
So so what's that been like the last couple of years? So you started with, what do you say, like 11 million in sales, then 30 something million. And then what have you been doing the last couple of years?
Then 2022, we did 40. 2023, we did 60. This year, we'll probably pass 80.
That's crazy. So you've been growing through like this slow time. And is it mostly TikTok leads now?
TikTok, Instagram, referrals. I don't even market to my SOI. On my personal social media, I don't really post very much, but I think people know I'm a realtor now. We really just focus on social media, and then we do the best job that we could possibly imagine, and then we figure out how to make it better, and that helps us get referrals back. So that's been our strategy throughout this entire time, and it's continued to work, which has been nice.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to unpack your strategy, see if our listeners can figure out how they can do what you're doing, and if they can do it like a tenth as good as you are, they're going to have a successful real estate business. So that's exciting. And I think something else that you said that's probably exciting to some listeners is you said you don't market to your sphere of influence. And I've met a lot of agents that they become agents and they're really excited, but they don't want to tell everybody they're agents. They get nervous about it. And there's pros and cons to it. And I encourage people to get leads however they can. And I've known plenty of people that their friends hire someone else as an agent and they say, well, if I would have known you were an agent, I would have hired you. So I hate it when people don't market to their sphere of influence, because when you miss one of those leads, you're kind of like, my closest friend just hired somebody else. But also, I know that people don't want to come off as salesy sometimes as they become agents, so that's a challenge. So I love this idea of you don't market to your sphere, you market on very specific pages. So one of the things you said is your first year at least was mostly the low end of the market, not the low end, the low price end of the market, like $500,000 houses. Now, was that how you targeted your TikToks? Did you try to find the least expensive house so you could show what they could get and people would be surprised they could get that for $550,000? Or did you just do everything, but most of the TikTok buyers were cheaper buyers?
Okay, so I was posting. So I was a first-time home buyer. I bought my first home also in 2020. My husband and I, we bought a townhome. It was $435,000. Today it's probably $750,000 something. And back then I was like, wow, this is an expensive townhome. Like I said, Orange County. So my perspective was already that of a first-time home buyer. And as I was doing real estate, I was learning all of these tips and tricks and like really digging deep into the research and also seeing how other people were working as agents. I actually didn't want to be an agent. My dad has told me since I was a kid, he's like, be an agent, be an agent. And I'm like, no, I don't love the agents that I know about. And I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like pushing people that I know and love into transactions. And so like, definitely my perspective is having that abundance mindset keeps you like sane, like really understanding like there's going to be more deals out there keeps you sane. And then the other like perspective that I have is I want to help people. I want to feel fulfilled in the work that I'm doing, and helping first-time home buyers is such a fulfilling experience. So when you're posting those videos, it's like you're actually giving them information. Also in the pandemic, people couldn't actually go tour homes. Yeah. So those videos were catching like fire. It was great. And I think I was probably one of the first people, definitely the first one in Southern California to start posting them every single day. And so I was just getting all of this traction, all of these followers in such a short amount of time. And like a lot of people think you just post things to catch people's like view on social media, like post something that's super low in price or post something that's super expensive. But I actually don't try to go viral. I just try to go local viral. So like, I don't try to post something that's too good to be true. I want my social media to be a representation of me. And I like to be a representation of reality. Like here's the real situation and like how this can benefit you or how you could protect yourself.
All right. So I want to pull up your TikTok while we're chatting here and see if I can find it. And I probably will be able to. So you would find a hyperlocal neighborhood. And so you would say like, hey, here's a neighborhood. And you would say, what does $540,000 get you in? Do you do it by zip code, by neighborhood? Like, and then were there any tricks to make sure it went viral local, or TikTok just do its thing?
I let TikTok do its thing. I also post local restaurants that I'm going to. I'm really not focused on trying to be famous. I just want to be locally famous. I don't want to, I'm not like a farmer. I don't have a farming neighborhood. I love it if you do have one of those, but it's just not my vibe here in Orange County. I just want to be like the Southern California agent. And so what I do is like, I have specialists in certain locations, and now I have that content. And so I'm looking at the strategy, looking at the negotiation, and I have people who have that hyperlocal knowledge. Of course, I'm here also in Orange County working with clients as well, but I have a team who's working with a lot of those buyers and sellers too.
So I'm scrolling through your TikTok, and you've got a lot of different things. So it's why getting a sewer scan inspection is so important. Hey, here's a single family home in Santa Ana. Reminder for first time home sellers, how to get a deal on home-based listing photos. What $900,000 gets you in Orange, California. It looks like, so you've got a whole variety of stuff in here. So what 1.45 million gets you in Costa Mesa, California. Reminder for home buyers and sellers. So you're doing this rotation of lessons and content, and here's like the Crate and Barrel outlet, or kind of just lots of fun things. So at the beginning, when you were doing one a day, was it just what does this get you, or did you have it as segregated as you do now, as far as like a different sort of post every day?
No, so and actually, like the way that I've been posting recently has been like, what content do I have? Like what can I create to be posting? I do want to be more intentional as we like change how our strategy is. At the end of the year, typically I do post higher and higher price points. So like, generally speaking, what I would always have is house tours, informational posts, local content. That's like the three things, and everything's going to fit in one of those three categories, right? Or also I have closed buyers. So my closed buyers, I tell the story of how we got them that home, or my closed sellers, how did we get the best deal on that home? And so I'm really leaning into storytelling to make sure that people understand this is a reality. I think seeing is believing. And when someone sees somebody that bought a home, or they see their friend buy a home, they're like, oh, that's possible. I could do that, and you're like making it a reality. In the beginning, I was only posting first time home buyer, like type homes. So my average price point my first year was like $500,000-$600,000. And then it grew to $750,000, and then it grew to $850,000. And this year it's about $1,050,000. And so what's happened is I'm intentionally posting different types of properties because I'm also at a different stage of my life. My husband and I moved into a bigger house. We're planning for kids. We got 2 dogs. We're buying investment properties. And so it's been really interesting because I still try to maintain the first time home buyers, but also now I'm working with a lot of move up buyers, even people that we helped buy their first home. Now they're going and they're buying their second home.
So that's one thing I was going to say next. So you have a really good business model right now to bring people in. And I'm going to talk to you next about the technology you use, or the follow-up for when you get that TikTok lead, how you close them. But you mentioned something just now of now you're actually getting these clients that are hiring you again to sell that home or buy them another one. What have you done to keep top of mind to somebody that you helped buy a house for 4 years ago?
So social media acts like a drip for us. Also, it's a lot easier for us to be friendly with our clients because they're finding us through an algorithm. Automatically, they're going to like us a little bit more, and we're going to love them too because we are on a similar algorithm. It's like almost like putting friends together who want to work together. So that's been really nice. That's like
the algorithm's going to know they like your personality. They like the way you talk. They like the way you present things.
Exactly. And so like we're getting people who really authentically we connect with. So that makes everything a lot easier, and that makes it a lot more rewarding when we do client events. There's so much to manage. So I put everything that I can into the like framework of a 12-month touch. And so I just want all of my closed clients to hear my name once a month. We don't need to talk. They don't need to have a call with me. They don't need to physically see me. I just want them to hear my name once a month so that when someone says I'm looking to buy or sell, they're like, oh yeah, well, Kina is my realtor if you guys do need a recommendation or a referral. And so, our 12-month touch is like 4 quarterly emails. It's 2 in-person big events, 2 workshops. and then just little drops throughout the year for different things.
So 12-month touch, it's not super aggressive, but it's like if you helped somebody buy a home, you want to make sure they hear your name once a month for the next 12 months. And so it's a newsletter, it's a client event, it's a something, and it's just so they remember that you're their agent. So when someone else is talking about it, they're like, oh yeah, Kina is still selling houses. And I try to tell people that that's pretty much all they need for a follow-up. It's just a reminder to those people that you actually do sell houses or you actually do buy houses. There were so many times when we would sell that as flippers, we would sell them one of our houses and we would like do both ends of the deal on the agent side because they were friends or whatever. And then when they would go to sell the house a couple of years later, they would hire someone else to do it. And they would say, oh, we didn't realize that you actually represented, sellers like that. Or I didn't no, you wanted to help us like buy a house. We want to find somebody to do both. And it's always like, oh yeah, just that little communication. So you're saying top of mind with that, they're understanding you're a buyer's agent or a seller's agent. And then they think about you. Okay. So you post a TikTok that says what $700,000 gets you in X.
Exactly.
How does that become a lead?
So it's not about, I'm trying to target someone with a video, make it into a lead right away. Mostly what I'm doing is posting a continuous flow of content, and I'm nurturing all of the people who are following me quite literally like for years at a time.
Right. They're not on an email drip campaign. They're on a TikTok drip campaign. Exactly.
And like, if they like and engage with the content, then eventually they're going to look at me as the potential to be their agent. Right. And so there's people who have followed us for literal years and they're like, I've seen you grow. I've seen you hire your team. I want to be invited to your parties. I saw you get married. Like they're watching my life on social media. And then when I get to meet them, it's like, they already know me, and it's a really powerful thing because you're so close to everybody that you get to work with.
So when they first go to reach out to you, are they messaging you on TikTok and like, hey, I want to help you the house? Are they commenting on some of your feeds and saying, hey, like, so how does the conversion happen from TikTok drip campaign, follower to you're going to start interacting with them to try to help turn them into a client?
There's really two ways. They're either going to DM me and then I'll recommend we get on a call, or they'll just sign up for a call on my calendar. And then I'll just take the calls. I have specific time slots of when I'm available.
Does your TikTok have a calendar link on it? Or what? How do they know to find your calendar?
Yeah, I have a link.
I'll go stalk you again.
And I'll put it in the comments. I'll put it on or mention it in like a video to like sign up for a call. And like, that's what we do, so I'm reminding people.
Yeah. So the top of your TikTok says, DM me on Insta, selling homes in SoCal. Click this link to get the buyer's guide. So you've got a call to action. And that's something that everybody could do on any one of their social medias. It's really clear. This is how I want you to reach out to me. She's saying, DM me on Insta. Hey, I sell homes in Southern California, right? So you don't want to say I sell homes, that you want it to be wherever your market is, and then get the buyer's guides. There's a reason for them to click the link. And then when they click the link, it goes to that link tree. It brings to like first Instagram is one of the options. And then on your link tree, how much do you pay for link tree? Like, is it like $20 a month?
Negligible.
It's maybe like nothing.
Not even $10 a month. And the other thing that I will say is I've been thinking about other options for the buyer's guide, because even though I put my heart and soul into that buyer's guide, I don't feel like it has the same excitement as it did before, because now everyone has a buyer's guide. And so I've been looking at different ways and opportunities where I'm like, okay, what can I build to give people more information that they want to sign up for?
Well, I love that there's a call to action for them to sign up for something. I could see why, like a buyer's guide works, or it could be, join our next, family and friends event. Like there's a lot of different things, but something that calls them to click that link. Cause once I click your link tree, I see home buyer workshop links. I see a video about 3 ways to be a beller, the buyer's playbook. Then there's the book a call, buyer and seller info, search homes on Real Scout, or email me. So you are giving them a bunch of calls to action. So if they're on your TikTok, they're seeing things, they get up there. All right, she sells homes in Southern California. I'm going to click this link for my free guide. And then they see everything else on the link tree. And so you're going to try to capture them some way. What CRM do you use?
Follow Up Boss. And Real Scout, by the way, has also been a really big driver to get people to sign up. So that's been actually probably better than the buyer's guide recently.
So Follow Up Boss is where people first intro, and a lot of people use Follow Up Boss is like one of the kings of CRMs that's out there. They go in there and then that's how you do your 12-month kind of drip, however you do it, right?
Yeah, our 12-month touch, it's not really like a drip with our closed clients. It's more intentional than that. It's like I'm literally writing the email. I'm really crafting what information I want to share with them. We're hosting the event. You know, I had 150 people at my house on Sunday for a pumpkin patch. You know, it's very
That's a lot of
like,
emails.
yeah, yeah. But you know, like it's not like the last thing that I would want is for one of my closed clients who goes by Jess, and I've never called her Jessica in my life, to get an email that says, "Hi, Jessica, you are invited to this event." You see what I mean? So like I'm paying a little bit more attention to those.
It's better if it's really personalized. It's better because there is a part of the CRM, if not really, really cultivated well, could actually kill a deal or make it feel impersonal. If you do a lot of work inside the CRM protecting that, you could make sure that it's always Jess instead of there's ways that you can do it, but I see the point of you'd rather take the effort and not get it wrong, because if you get it wrong, you're going to lose them. So what do you put in Follow Up Boss? So somebody books a call on your TikTok, they say, "Cool, that was fun. I might buy a house the next year." Do they go into anything, or what actually goes in the Follow Up Boss?
So what we do is, everybody goes into Follow Up Boss if they sign up on Real Scout, our website, or they have a call with us. Then we have the deals page, and we have waiting to search, actively searching, casually search, waiting to search, casually, and actively searching. Based on those three groups, we have different touches for them. We'll do a market update every other month. We're like, "Hey, look, you don't need to respond. Just slowly get this information." We like all of our buyers to get set up on Real Scout, whether they're going to buy today, tomorrow, or a year or 2 years from now. Because if you're on Real Scout or any other home search, at least you're getting familiar with the market. Because when an opportunity pops up, you don't want to miss it. You know, if you're like, "Kina, I want to buy a house. I'm going to talk to you in 5 years." And then you're like, "Kina, I'm ready to buy a house." Well, what could you have been doing for the last 5 years or however long? Usually it's like 6 to 12 months. That doesn't actually cost you very much. And when I say cost, I'm talking about time. You know, getting emails, even if you're just looking at them and archiving them and you're not clicking into it at all, and you're just like saying, "Oh, this house is going for this. Okay, cool. Now I'm a little bit more familiar with that market." It's still moving the needle forward for you, and it's still keeping buying a house at top of mind.
Cool. So if somebody's going to start TikTok, what's their what are three rules you would say to follow? And like one of them that I think you said was like, post once a day. But what are like three rules to follow if they're going to get started now, or like the first 3 videos they should do?
So like everything's really, I say this and then people are like, "Oh, it's just kind of like a vague thing to do." But honestly, I think it's very important to show up like yourself, show up authentically, because if you're trying to create an image on TikTok, that's the image you have to maintain with all of your clients forever. And if people meet you in person, they're like, "That's not who you are online," they'll sniff it out really fast, right? So actually showing up as yourself is extremely important. Like not trying to be cool, I feel like we convert so well on social media because we're like, "Look, here's the deal. Here's the info. I don't have makeup on today. That's fine. I just need to get this information out. You guys can understand who I am as a person." That's like my overall rule. That's what I tell all my agents. And it really does change how they convert. So 1, there's that. 2, don't make things so hard on yourself. Like figure out what I chose house tours, information, closed clients, and local content. Your platter could be different, right? You can choose 4 different things that make better sense for you, but at least have those buckets so that you know where you want to be, right? Like everybody has different buckets. My team has different buckets on their social media or different things that they're doing on a consistent basis. And then, like you said, that 1 a day thing, consistency is really important on social media. If you're not consistent, you're not going to convert because your algorithm, it doesn't trust you, right? You're not building trust with the actual platform that you're posting on. They're not going to promote you.
So that's like a great formula for people to get started. You mentioned early on about like, you just kind of went through it really quickly. Having an abundance mindset helps you on the bad days, or helps you when you like lose a client, or it helps you from getting discouraged. And just expand on that just a little bit, like the concept of that.
Yeah. So, and it's not even like on the bad days, there's the hard days for sure. And I'm like, that's okay. Generally speaking, like my philosophy is I don't want work to feel like work. Every day I come to work and it's a good time. I love my office. I love my team. I love the vendors I work with. I love my buyers. I love my sellers. If I don't get along with somebody or I don't feel like the respect is mutual, I'm not going to try very hard to continue working with that person. I'm going to tell them to go find another realtor who's probably a better fit for them. And so like when you have that abundance mindset, it's like with each client, you can take yourself out of the equation, because sometimes in the beginning, when you're first starting and you're like, I have to make this deal happen. How do I get this buyer to buy this house? Because I want to make this deal happen. That's actually like the worst mindset that you can have. Because realistically, if you're thinking about yourself as part of the equation versus the person who's enabling everything to happen, you're going to not do your best job as a fiduciary to the client. You're going to be transparent. It's going to be see-through, and like really showing up as like, listen, if you don't buy this house, I say this with peace and love. I don't care. I want you to buy the home that you want to buy. In the beginning, clients would be like, Kina, I'm so sorry. I just don't want to buy this house. And I'm like, why are you apologizing to me? It doesn't affect me. We'll go look at 500 more houses. That's okay. Like let's get the right one. Maybe not 500, but you know what I mean? Let's get the right one. I'm here for you and you only. And whether it's this one or another one, we're going to make it happen in the best way possible for you. And like that really, like that feeling for a buyer is super important, because if you're not showing up as a good agent, like there's so many bad agents out there. I mean, I get so many buyers who worked with somebody else. And then they come to me and they're like, yeah, he like was really pushy, just like wasn't a good fit. And I'm like, no worries. Like we'll figure it out, but it has to be about the client. Abundant. And also some of my best friends that I've met are in real estate. And it's like people think, oh, if I share this information, someone's going to steal it or copy me. Or look, I can give you the playbook. I have the playbook for everyone. And I'm very excited about your guys's all of the tools, your guys' toolbox, right? Because I'm like, oh, I have so many good things to contribute to that. But it's like everybody does things in a different way. And ultimately you want to work with people that you enjoy working with to like have a good time every single day,
Yeah. Well, I just love the abundance idea of like, yes, we can share as many ideas as possible because there's plenty of buyers out there. There's plenty of houses out there. Now, there's more some years and less other years, but it helps get, if you're doing a listing presentation, they hire someone else, that can be a discouraging day. If you've got an abundance mindset that like, oh, there's plenty of listings out there and I'll get the next one, it helps through some of that. So yeah, let's talk about the toolbox. Because listeners, if you go to our realestaterockstarsnetwork.com and you go get the toolbox, in there, you can sign up and get the link to everyone that comes onto our show. They all give like a free gift, some items in the toolbox that will help you grow your business, that are some of the things that they're talking about. So Kina, what do you have? What are you putting in the toolbox?
Okay, so I'm part of the side network of the boutique brokerages. And so a lot of us will actually like jump on these mastermind calls. So what I started doing with some of the other people who own boutique brokerages is creating these like videos and templates for people to actually use. So I've been trying to get people to use them. So this is really built, all that to say, this is really built for like a team lead or a brokerage owner versus like a solo agent. However, you can use this as a solo agent. So I have a spreadsheet that I built in Google, on Google Sheets, and it goes over projections, your actual deals, and then it also breaks down like all of your numbers, essentially, right? Because when you're managing a team, you want to be able to see everyone's numbers. You want to see what their what their volume is, how many deals they're doing that are you generated versus their own generated deals. You want to be able to see, okay, what are you paying your brokerage fee? What are your actual costs? How are you doing as an agent? So it really breaks it down, but then also you can compare it to projections, because I've been really focused on just cleaning up our team and our brokerage over the last few years. And this gives you a lot of visibility into like how your cycles work. It also breaks it down quarterly for you. So you can understand, okay, what are my best months? What are my least strong months? Like you want that visibility essentially.
Yeah. So those are going to be so that'll be part of the stuff in the toolbox, helping the stuff that you've gained from those other things, those templates that people can use and see how to do it. So I'm looking forward to seeing it as we get in there and do to grow. Anything else you want to tell them about that?
Yeah, there was one other thing that I wanted to add, and I'll probably just do a screenshot. On Google, there's a new, maybe only lasts like 5-6 years, a new thing called Google Sites. And you could basically build an intranet for your team. Okay, so what I did is anything that's like hot links, important things that my whole team needs to know. I've got a team of 10 agents, right? There's so much information that they need. What I do is it's called Reframe Headquarters, HQ, and it has a list to like all of the links. Anytime they open an escrow, it has the type form, it has our W-9, it has our Canva links, it has our photo shoot links. So all of the important information is then presented on one page, and it looks, aesthetically pleasing, and it's easy to just go link all of the important information. On the second page, I have Reframe University. And what I do is anytime I'm doing anything, anytime I'm training anyone, I Loom my video. Okay, Loom is a great tool. I'm sure you've used it or heard of it before. But it's a great tool because what it does is it takes a video of you and it takes a video of your screen, and you can record everything that you're doing. And then what I do is I actually add it to the university page. And so if someone's like, I'm a buyer's agent or you're looking for a specific document, you can go see how I fill that out. If you're looking at a new construction design center tour meeting and you're like, how do I do it? Guess what? I've already explained it to somebody. I Loomed it. You can go watch that video. So it's a self-serve, like whole toolkit of information and also the classes. And you could just put it all there for your team, and anyone on your team can access it.
Yeah, that's a great idea, because there are so many things that people always need, and being able to actually have, like, it's a website URL that they go to, but it's like, yeah, here's the W-9, here's the blank form, here's those, but then your intranet for like the stuff that's like, here's just the classes that you're doing with them. I think that's awesome. Now I want to jump to like the biggest reason you're on here today isn't, you didn't come onto the show and apply. We went and reached out to you. So this year you're one of Realtor.com's 30 under 30, which is a super exciting, like, prestigious awards. One of our other co-hosts who's going to start hosting again in the next few weeks I first met him when I was interviewing him as a 30 under 30. So it's something that I love getting to chat with you guys. So and you're the first one this year that we've had on. That's one of the 30 under 30 guests. So so we've got several that are coming on over the next couple of months, but you're the first one I've got to interview. But tell the listeners a little bit about, what does that mean? So like you're on like your Realtor.com's 30 under 30. What does that mean? And how did you get selected?
So it's actually the National Association of Realtors. So what they do is they have an open application. I'm currently 29. I was 28 when I applied. But essentially, if you're under 30 by a certain date, what you can do is you can send that application in, and they ask you like a million questions. And they're actually looking at you holistically. So they're looking at your volume, they're looking at your growth, they're looking at your sales, they're looking at how involved you are in the community, how you treat your clients, what your ethics are, what your standards are. And then they're selecting 30 people across the United States. This was like the first year that I applied. It was actually really exciting. I just came back from the conference about 2 weeks ago. But it's a great group of people. I showed up and they're like, this is the best group of real estate agents you can get into without paying for it. Like you can only be part of this group if you actually made that award happen. So it was a really big honor. It was a huge honor. I think it was one of the things that I always wanted, like once I got my license.
Yeah. Well, I see the award behind you, the 30 under 30 kind of magazine cover and the cutout in the article that's on there for you. And so it is I think it's very cool that was kind of something you had thought about before, right? That you were like, hey, that's a way to get honored. And there is really something to say too, of you couldn't have bought it. You couldn't pay for membership. You couldn't, so there's plenty of masterminds we go to and we pay for, and I think those are great. And I think we learn a lot from them, and there's a lot we can get out of it. But what a cool way. And when I joined my first mastermind in 2015, I remember traveling to this spot and getting to meet like 30 other guys that were like just like me, like entrepreneurs, but they were all from different cities, and all of us felt like we were doing life alone or that we were unique. And then we got to come together and it was like, whoa, there's other people like me. So I imagine you getting to go there was a similar experience, and maybe with the only caveat that because you could only qualify and you couldn't buy your way in, you automatically knew that, I don't know how many people apply to be 30 under 30, but it's a lot more than 30. And so, that you've been narrowed down, that you guys are among the best of the best. And so you just had your first event a couple weeks ago. And then what has that been like so far? Like as being getting that award, do you have local people reaching out? Did you add that to your quarterly email that you send out? Like, are you bragging about it a little bit?
I did add it to the quarterly email. I posted it on socials. I think it's really like awards are great. But even when I was a kid and I would like win an award, even my parents would be like, well, what does that actually mean? What did you really accomplish? What did you do? Totally fair, And so, that's why even like with my deal sheet that I'm putting in the toolbox, like I'm really focused on what's reality, right? What are the numbers? What's going on? What I like about the 30 under 30 group is you're getting like the best information. Exactly the feeling you described is the feeling that I had when I was there. And I think real estate's like a holistic approach. Real estate's very like, if you're in real estate for a long time, you have to take a holistic approach to it, right? If you're a real estate agent for a long time, you're probably also investing in real estate. And then you're starting to learn more and more and more, and you're basically accessing new opportunities, And so that's been a really big like learning experience for me. I also joined this group called EO, Entrepreneurial Organization. Same feeling, same experience, like I am a real estate agent, but first and foremost, I'm more of a business owner. That's really how I see things. That's kind of how I run what I'm doing versus just focus on the act of selling homes. I really run things like a business.
Yeah, that's every real estate agent is an entrepreneur for sure. There's no guarantee. And when you're running on commission, like that is that's how it works. And the people that have been able to treat it like a business and like a business that they own are the ones that become the most successful. There's different versions of that. Like you can join a team and your team lead can be the one that does advertisements for leads or tells you the system or sets up the CRM and they say, hey, here's the 100 people you're going to call every day. There is that option. But if you don't, and I guess that's more like a, comparable to like a commission sales job. But as soon as you get a little bit above that, you're running your own business. Right, you're a business owner. Once you get to the point where you have to start making some of your own decisions and some of your own ideas, and so EO is a great organization too. It's huge, and so any other masterminds or growth organizations that you've been a part of?
Those are really the two, and then just like it feels like they're my family. Like the other brokerage owners at Side have been pretty. That's pretty life-changing for me too. We just kind of like get into these mastermind groups and all of a sudden I'm like, wow, my mind is open to all of these new possibilities. That's actually the thing that I love the most about real estate is there's really no one way to do it. And there's endless opportunities and things that you can build. And it's like, all you need to do is knock on a couple of doors, listen to those people. And you're like, I'm so inspired and excited like every single day.
Yeah.
Or you just listen to your podcast.
Yeah. You have to listen to podcasts, keep being inspired, keep learning out there. So you've had you've had an awesome career, your first 4 years. It's like off to the races so far. It seems like it's just like to the moon. What's something that you wish you would have known when you first got into real estate? Like what's something you know now that when you first got in, you're like, I wish I would have realized real estate was about that?
When I started, I actually, even before I started, it took me a minute to realize this, but I thought real estate was always done in one certain way. And from the outside looking in, I can understand it. And I didn't get my license for a long time because like I told you, I was like, I don't like the way they do business. That's not how I would want to run my business. And then one day, my dad was like, you can just do it your own way. And I'm like, that really like unlocked something in my brain where I'm like, I can't just do things my own way. And I feel like in the beginning, no one understood what we were doing. I went from brokerage to Compass to then starting my own thing. And until I really did my own thing, like everybody else was like, who's that girl making TikToks? That's so weird. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow, that's so great. Like they're going to do 100 deals this year. Like a TikTok's amazing. But
yeah, you have all the TikTok haters that now are like, how do I do the video? Like you see them doing it.
No one was saying that 4 years ago. Like I was begging people to go take videos of their houses. And they were like, yeah, sure, if you want. And like, people really underestimated the value of social media. But it's not about like being flashy or cool. It's just about giving information, providing value,
Yeah. And you were like, I guess you were kind of a thought provoker on that. Like you knew and you went all in. Like you didn't just, hats off to you too, for just that concept of in order to be successful, you have to post every day. Right. It's so weird because so many people, and it starts out as I saw a meme the last couple of days ago that first it was like, it's the people like, oh, they're so cringy. Oh, he's so cringy from those things he's posting. And then he's crazy because now he's like 30 or 60 days in and he's getting some confidence in that. And then it's like, and then after that, it's like, oh, lucky. Yeah. Then they're like, oh, well, what a lucky overnight success. Like he just has this big business. How'd that happen? When along the way, you're like, grow. And a buddy of mine has a podcast and a social media. And he was, I want to say like 2 years ago now, he said, you know what? He had like no followers. He goes, I'm going to post 2 reels a day, no matter what. I'm just going to take action. And he did it for 2 years. And now he's got 500,000 followers and he posts and he was like, not every day he wanted to. And I think I do pretty good on social, but I still miss days. And when I'm on a roll and I do it a couple weeks in a row, the algorithm can get 1 million views on something. But if I drop off for a few days and come back, it's going to punish me and I start all over. So there is so much of that's action, but you were taking action before a lot of people were. And you were like committed to doing it while a lot of people were like, TikTok for real estate, not going to work.
Yeah, people don't realize the consistency is so important. It's almost more important than being like super fancy or super perfect, Like also, I'm blessed with like not having that much anxiety. And I don't know if it's like a good thing or a bad thing sometimes, but like I didn't have that social media anxiety in the beginning, but it's been really interesting because I see other people have it. And so I have my agents in my office telling me that they're nervous about posting. What are people going to say? And I'm like, you know what? Just like, don't have the people that are giving you the anxiety, like follow you, just like remove them as your followers, because it's obviously somebody who's out there. You're worried that one person or those 5 people are going to make fun of you or something. Those probably aren't even people that you want in your group anyways.
That's such a really good point. Like if you're about to make a post, but you don't want to do it because someone is going to react a certain way,
delete them.
You can block them, delete them. You can do because everybody, I bet like right now, if anybody out there listening who's like, man, I'm so worried about that. They can think of the 1 or 2 people that they're worried about their reaction. And so why they don't post at all. I've never heard anybody say that, but I think it's such a good point. I think most people can attribute like that fear to a few people. And yeah, why not? And then they're like, well, what are they going to think if I block them? Who cares? Like if there's somebody you're worried about, then they don't need to be, part of that spin. So you've got lots of stories. Like you're a storyteller on TikTok. This has been an awesome podcast. We're really like wrapping up here as we start to close out. And I think our listeners have gotten so much value. But any fun stories about a deal that went right or a deal that went wrong that you think a new agent could get value from, or maybe it's just something that you love being able to share?
I have some pretty nightmare stories. I don't know what you can learn from it other than just have all your bases covered. But it's probably the craziest story that I've had in real estate. So setting the stage, my buyers were buying this house. It's tenant occupied. The tenants are hoarders. And so we open escrow. That's fine. Hoarder house doesn't mean that you can't buy the house. It just means you have to be really careful to make sure that everything's looking good. So we're in escrow. We're having inspections. The seller has their termite guy doing an inspection the same way. We're testing the popcorn ceiling for asbestos. And this is just like a series of unfortunate events. The termite guy falls through the ceiling, the popcorn ceiling from the attic. The asbestos guy goes home, and he's there while the termite guy falls through. The asbestos guy goes home, tests it, and it's positive for asbestos.
So now he knows everybody just breathed in asbestos when that popcorn blew open.
Correct. And then, so we're like, oh, great. The asbestos inspector then has to report to the air quality organization that this event just occurred. Then they get involved. The listing agent and the sellers now have to go to a class to make sure that they know about air quality safety. The tenants are in the property, and they're, like I said, they're hoarders. We also decided to look at Megan's Law at the time, and they are on the list. So that wasn't great. And then
that wasn't great. I love that.
No. And they're like, asbestos? No problem. Just leave it. It's fine. You guys can handle it after we move out. And so that happens. We're not allowed to close on the home until the popcorn ceiling asbestos situation has been resolved. And then the buyers, this is all happening over it was supposed to be a 30-day escrow. It's taking probably 90 days now, right? Because we need the air quality people. Interest rates are increasing at this time. So that's also happening in unison. And my buyers have to go to a wedding in Greece. So they're leaving the country right when we have to sign documents, or when we're supposed to sign documents, right? All of this is happening during my wedding, which is my husband's Pakistani. We had a 7-day wedding. So this is a 5-day wedding. This is all happening, all of the majority of the height of all of this stuff is happening during that time. And so we're trying to just figure it out and solve it. And then after that, we basically just waited for a month and a half, almost 2 months, for the air quality company to give us the green light to close. So that was basically the worst escrow I ever worked on. My point being is, if you think it can't get worse, it could definitely get worse. But what you learn from those situations is nothing that happened I could control, literally nothing. And so when my agents come to me and they're like, Kina, all of this stuff is happening. What do I do? I'm like, what do you mean? Remove yourself from the situation, present options to your client and ask them what they want to do. It's not your job to make sure that they buy the house, or it's not your job to be okay, let me figure out exactly, what's going to happen. You can't predict the future. Anything that can go wrong went wrong in that situation. At every point, my question to the buyer is, well, what do you guys want to do? These are the options that I see. We can go this route and get more information. We can go this route, or you can just back out. And they stayed true to the deal. We closed on that deal, and it was a great property. But that was insane.
That is insane. It's I've never had, I had a guy fall through a ceiling last week at one of our projects, but never while it's been asbestos, and especially not getting caught with it being asbestos. And the crazy part too is the people living there that were the hoarders, and they could have sued their landlord. They could have done all sorts of craziness, and they're living in such filth. They're it's fine. The hoarder houses are a whole different story. That could be a bunch of episodes and TikToks all to themselves of what you find in those. When we buy foreclosures, we find tons of those. Well, this has been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun to hear about how you grew your business so quickly, focusing on TikTok and now other social media, and that you really went all in and did it when like everybody else was kind of, not really doing it yet. You got a lot of non-believers. You kept doing it anyway, and now you're incredibly successful. You got awarded 30 under 30 this year for the Realtors Association, National Association of Realtors, which is amazing. And then we got to go through a little bit of kind of your TikTok lead magnet or drip, however we want to call it. Like, you're posting every day in there. You're rotating between 3 or 4 different concepts. You've got your summary at the top of your TikTok that says, hey, DM me over here. I sell houses in SoCal. And then get my buyer's guide. It goes to a link tree. Your link tree looks amazing. So I think, listeners, for sure, you want to go and check out Kina's TikTok and Instagram, but it's at SoCal_realtor on TikTok, and get some of those tips to be able to follow. And like she said at the beginning, we're abundance mindset here. We're trying to teach you guys all the tips and tactics and how to do this. Kina, thanks so much for coming on. Big congratulations. I guess my final question is, do you have anything else you want to say about anything? And what is your preferred way that people reach out to you?
You can reach out to me at Instagram. I'm at Realtor Kina, Kina, or TikTok at SoCal Realtor. In the beginning, that was a really great way for people to be like, oh, SoCal, that's me. I'm in that area. The last thing that I would say is I'll leave a TED Talk. I just took my team on a retreat. It was 2 days of workshop, another day of chilling, or two days of workshops, 2 days of just like relaxing. And this was how I started off in my whole workshop. It's my favorite TED Talk. It's called The Happy Secret to Better Work by Shawn Achor. It talks about how positivity quite literally will change outcomes for you, and how it'll change the lens of how you view everything. And that was the number one thing. I had literal 2 whole days of workshops for them. And that was the number one thing that they liked the most. So I totally recommend it. I think if everybody watched it, it would change their lives, because every single team member has mentioned it on our one-on-ones this week. So
that's great. So say it again. It's a TED Talk of who?
The Happy Secret to Better Work by Shawn Achor. He's a psychologist at Harvard who analyzes how positivity makes everything better for you.
Awesome. Well, hopefully we'll get that in the show notes as well. Kina, this was great. Real Estate Rock Stars. As always, this is Aaron Amuchastegui. Thanks so much for listening. If you had any fun today at all, go give us a review. If you liked it, if you hated it, I hate the bad reviews, but I do have some of them in there. So tell us what you think about the podcast today. And if you've been living under a rock and you haven't heard me talk about it, we still do have some tickets left for our mastermind in March. This is that 3-day mastermind that I host in the city of Austin, where we've got 100 agents that fly in from all over the U.S. And it's a lot like that experience that Kina's talking about. Our members that have come the last couple of years, it's the first time they've been somewhere where they feel like they have found their people that are focused. We do this thing at cost. So go check that out at realestaterockstarsmastermind.com, or come find me on Instagram at Aaron Amuchastegui. Go follow Kina. Go find out more tips. Kina, thanks again for being here.
Thanks, Aaron. I was going to say, honestly, the number one tip should be to go to the mastermind, because that'll completely fast forward your business.
I love that. I couldn't say it better myself. Real Estate Rock Stars. Thanks for listening.